Ladies and gentlemen, it's a little rundown of something that is quite close to my heart. These are the things that sort of got me into games and stuff way back in the early 80s as a kid, and had a lasting impression on me, so I thought I'd just do a little run through, you know, just to the first few, 1 to 10 of these Fighting Fantasy Gamebooks. And yeah, these were sort of quite novel at the time, in the days before video games took over. You know, as little kids in school, we discovered these, and it was like a game within a book, and you roll up your little character, like really simplified D&D sort of thing, and then you go out on adventures, you roll dice, defeat monsters, but the books would give you options. So it would give you an option, say, do you want to go left or right, and then you choose which way, and you turn to a specific paragraph in the book. And yeah, normally these things had 400 paragraphs, so yeah, they were really popular in their heyday. And so yeah, we're going to have a little look at the first 10 numbers, 1 to 10. So let's have a look.
Board Games 4K.
So number 1 in this series is the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, the game book that started it all. I mean, this written by Steve Jackson here, Livingstone, people responsible for creation of these books. And yeah, this one is originally, it was known as the Magic Quest, and they approached Puffin Books, and yeah, they got turned down. So they were told by the lady in charge at the time to go back and rewrite it. So they went back to their Games Workshop office, which was like just basically a room upstairs and on top of a garage or something. And yeah, they rewrote it. Ian Livingstone wrote the first half, Steve Jackson wrote the second half, and it's a seminal book for me, this one. I mean, yeah, it's just a basic standard, you know, go in, kill the monsters, get the loot, get out. But what made this special was that you had to look for certain keys, and each key had a reference number on it that related to one of the paragraphs in the book. So you had to find all of the keys into the Warlock's chest and defeat him at the end. And while there's not many real characters in this book, I mean, it is sort of quite generic. It's one of the first ones, and there's really only one path through, but you've got this nice little maze at the end, you know, and you can get lost in there for like hours and that. But yeah, Warlock of Firetop Mountain number 1, yeah, it's way up there in one of the, for me, it's one of the classic literary works of the 20th century. So number 2 in the series is the Citadel of Chaos. Not a lot of people like this artwork, but I think it's quite good. It's by this cover up by this guy called Emmanuel, and they changed it later on when the green spines started to disappear, you know. And they changed it with some sort of changed the artwork, and I prefer this one. A lot of people don't like it, but it stands out from all the rest of the stuff, you know. So, but anyway, yeah, this one. So it's a bog standard thing where you're sort of going into a castle, working your way up to the Citadel to defeat this powerful wizard called Balthus Dyer. And the difference with this one is that it's one of the first games. Well, it's only 2 in it, but you know, this introduced the concept of magic, albeit very, very simple. Yeah, this introduced like a magic score, so roll a die and add 6, and then that's how many spells you get to use. Every time you use one of the spells, you cross it off the list, and each spell did a different thing. So that introduced something new into the equation, quite original actually. But yeah, other than that, I mean, there's some quite sort of you know, standout monsters you've got to fight in there called the Ganges. And I think that's something to do with I think Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson, or one of the two, went on a trip to Thailand or India, around in Asia or something, and they took some of the names from there, you know. And yeah, you got the Ganges, and you got the wheelies, are they? Yeah, in there. So yeah, it's sort of, you know, it's one of the, it's obviously starting to branch off now, where Steve Jackson's written this on his own. It's not a joint effort, and yeah, the series is starting to develop. Don't think it's sort of quite on its way to monumental stardom at the moment, but yeah, it's definitely signs that this is starting to become more popular and more original. So number 3 is the Forest of Doom, and this is quite a few people's favourite books. It's not my favourite book, but yeah, this one, you're hired by the dwarves of this village called Stonebridge, and they've lost their magical hammer, and you're a sword for hire, and they ask you to go off into Darkwood Forest and find the hammer and bring it back to them, and you agree, and you go off into the forest, and you come across this tower, and inside the tower there's this old wizard called Yastromo, and this is where it starts to get interesting, because Ian Livingstone's added like the sort of D&D thing where you could buy equipment and different magical items and stuff off the bat. You're not scrabbling around trying to find them in the game, and yeah, it gives you a certain amount of gold pieces, and you go out and buy your kit, and each one of those things is used in the game. But what the game book doesn't tell you is that the hammer is split into 2 pieces, so you've got to find the handle and the hammer head, and yeah, it's one of those ones. I think it's like one true path, I think, in this one. But yeah, there's loads of memorable creatures in there. There's you got the shape changer or shapeshifter or whatever, and there's loads of little traps. Like there's one of the traps is you got this guy who's pegged into the ground. He's sort of bound, and you go over and help him. And well, I won't give you any spoilers, but you know what I mean. There's little traps and stuff. But you know, but yeah, this one's you can go underground in this one, and it's just really set the tone for future books. I think by this time Ian Livingstone was sort of starting to develop his own style quite early on, and yeah, Forest of Doom, it's up there as one of the best game books, but you know, obviously it's not my favourite one. Number 4 is one of my favourite game books, and that is Starship Traveler. Not a lot of people like this one. I don't know why they don't like it, but it's not 400 paragraphs. This one, it is actually 343, but they're not all that. So a lot of that's combat, so it's 330 something. But yeah, this one, you're the captain of the Starship Traveler, and you're sucked into what's it called, the Celtian Void, and you're trying to find your way home. So you're exploring the galaxy, trying to find the coordinates that will take you back to Earth. And yeah, some fantastic characters you come up with this one. You've got the infamous Eye of Bale. You've got the cover art there, which shows you the combat arena where you're fighting the Sentinel. And one of the things that really struck me as a kid is it's not just you in the game, but you have to roll dice and roll up your crew. So you know, you've got the captain, which is you. You've got the science officer, the medical officer, the engineering officer, the security officer, and you've got 2 security guards. And also on top of that, oh my god, there's how old was I? 10-year-old, 9-year-old, whatever. Not that old. You know, you're creating this whole sort of epic adventure. You know, you even roll for your ship. I mean, it's just astonishing, and it's yeah. What makes it? I think what puts people off this is they don't like the artwork. I mean, I don't mind it. It's got that sort of nice feel that suits the book, but it's also bloody difficult. It's really hard, and yeah, I think I can remember hearing somewhere that Steve Jackson said he made it really difficult because he was sitting on a bus or something, and he saw a kid with like sort of a 5-finger bookmark, you know, like sort of like this, sitting there, and he really annoyed him. So he went off and wrote one that's like really rock solid. But yeah, Starship Traveler is like the first science fiction game book. Then there was plenty others, but I think this one could be the best one. So number 5 is, well, I think you know what it is. It's City of Thieves, isn't it? It's like one of the best ones, isn't it? Really, you know, it takes you out of the wilderness and into an urban adventure, and yeah, I think for some people this is the best one. Oh, another one, but yeah, we really like this one. Well, I like it anyway. But so what happens is that you're having lunch in Silverton, and the mayor comes over to you and says, "Look, mate, we've got these problem with these moon dogs that keep showing up every night, and you know they're Zambar Bones giving us a load of grief. So can you go over and kill him?" So he says, "Go and see Nicodemus in Port Blacksand, and go and see, because I'll tell you what to do." So you go and see him, and then you actually find Nicodemus. You go through Port Blacksand, you find Nicodemus, and he tells you to get lost. You know what I mean? So I was like, "What? Listen, old man." He tells you to get lost. He's too old to get involved in adventures, blah 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 blah. So here's the stuff you need. He gives you a shopping list, and you basically go around Port Blacksand on a shopping spree, having adventures. And yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. And you got to think, well, this is the first time that you had well, no, he done a cover art for Forest of Doom, but you've got the first time that Ian McCaig has done the internal artwork, I believe. Yeah, he's done the internal artwork, and I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I think this part of the charm of Fighting Fantasy was the lure of the artwork. I mean, you see like a lot of the creatures or monsters on the covers are sort of looking at you and sort of looking at you because you are the hero, right? And yeah, City of Thieves #5, fantastic read. Okay, #6, and I think this one was voted the best game book ever. I think it's most Fighting Fantasy fans' favourite, and that's Deathtrap Dungeon. I mean, just look at that. I mean, there's a blood beast on the front there, and God, as a kid, I mean, you know, by the media, used to like to think that you go to bed with nightmares, but this one drew you in. I mean, it's what a cover. That's absolutely fantastic. So, Deathtrap Dungeon. Yeah, it's not contrary to popular belief. I don't think this is your standard bog standard dungeon crawl, because you know, in AD&D or D&D and that, you know, you used to go into the dungeon for no apparent reason. It was there for no reason. You go in, you grab the loot, and you get out. But this one, there's actually sort of a point to getting through it. It's not just there's no loot to be had. You need to get through the dungeon alive, and only one of you is going to get out, right? So you got these contestants, and you're all working your way through the dungeon. There's loads of traps and puzzles, and there's some fantastic monsters in there. I mean, you know, you think that the blood beast is like the boss. You got the manticore, and just when you think it's over, you know, you meet up with your mate from. Just when you think it's over, you have to have a scrap with him, and it's just like, wow, you know what I mean? That just come out of nowhere, and yeah, it's full of surprises. Is it the best book? I don't know if it is. It's definitely up there. I mean, we really like this one, and it gave me so many good times running through this, and you know, coming back to it now, it's just a phenomenal book, and we love Deathtrap Dungeon, and yeah, I think this is the reason why people like this, because I think this was the pinnacle of maybe Fighting Fantasy's popularity. This is the book that appeared at the time when it was reached its peak, perhaps, and I think this is why people remember this one. But yeah, Deathtrap Dungeon, #6. So #7 is Island of the Lizard King, another Ian Livingstone book, and it's yeah, it's just not really my favourite one. It seemed a bit too linear and too similar, whereas the other previous 6 had things that stood out there, like had original features. This one was just you know, sort of get through the jungle, kill the gongchong, which is a sort of a thing, like a crab thing that sits on top of the Lizard King. That's a gongchong there, look. Yeah, you can see that. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, just get through there, kill the beast, and you're done. You know what I mean? And well, yeah, it's a good adventure, but I think this signalled the maybe they've run out of ideas. I don't know, but this it sort of went up and then started to tail off a little bit, and it was maybe they were under pressure from the publishers to sort of get out books, but I didn't really rate this one at the time. But you know, I still wonder, you know, what would have happened if Mungo survived. So #8 in this series was Scorpion Swamp, and yeah, if you've read the books quite a lot and you follow Fighting Fantasy and you've been reading them since you were a kid, you will know that Steve Jackson did not write this game book. It was the other Steve Jackson from America of Car Wars fame, right? So yeah, I think by this time Fighting Fantasy had got so popular that Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson couldn't keep up with demand. You know, they had the Games Workshop operation going on, and they were asked to produce too many books, and they couldn't cope. So they got other writers in, and this was the beginning of the Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone Presents sort of thing. So they asked Steve Jackson, USA geezer, to do it. And you know, while this isn't the strongest entry in the series, it's one of the most daring, I think, because it's got spells in it, and you've got this sort of non-linear pathway, so it encourages you to make a map, and you can backtrack on yourself and revisit the areas like multiple times, and there may or may not be new stuff there. So yeah, I mean, Scorpion Swamp, it's okay, you know, it's not too bad, and yeah, so it's good, like it. #9 is the Caverns of the Snow Witch, and by this time I think Fighting Fantasy, it was huge. I mean, what does it say on here? I don't know. It says when was this one published? 1986, was it? Something like that. 1984, blimey. And yeah, by this time I think it was Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone were starting to think about the expanding, creating a sort of a land, Alancia or whatever. They were thinking about putting these books in locations in a continent called Alancia and branching out and actually create a location setting for the books. So it was the Fighting Fantasy phenomenon was starting to evolve and cement itself in have its own canon, have its own lore, And this one pushed it up to the north in the cold mountains and stuff. And yeah, well, we didn't. This one, it's not our favourite book on this. It's a good one, but it was another one of them generic sort of a bit like the Forest of Doom, sort of work your way through the find the right path and off you go. And yeah, it's all right. It's not too bad. It just satisfied that hunger for more books. And yeah, Caverns of Snow Witch, number 9. So number 10 is it's the first time that the Fighting Fantasy series went to kind of modern day. It's the House of Hell, and this was actually this is actually the first book I bought in 1984. I got it from this little toy shop down the road called Christopher's, which isn't there anymore, which is a shame. And I don't know, they had all of them there. I remember, sort of being a kid looking at them all, thinking, what are these things? Having a look. And this one, I was drawn to this one. I think it's because my parents are religious, and I just wanted to sort of stick two fingers up at them. Oh, that was terrible. I love you, Mum and Dad. But yeah, it's with this one, your car breaks down in the middle of the night, and you see a light come on in a house, and you make your way to the house looking for help, and there's no answer. You could break in or whatever, and you end up meeting this bloke called the Earl of Drummer, I think his name is, and yeah, what you find is as you're knocked out, you're imprisoned, and you end up escaping. You make your way through the house, and you find out that there's some unsavoury business going on, and you decide that you want to put an end to it all, and you've got to find this thing called the Chris knife. And yeah, I mean, this was really controversial at the time. It's controversial now. This was in the news the other day, on some website, news website, and about the artwork's been changed in the recent reprint by Scholastic, because it details a satanic sacrifice, and there's a bit of a booby showing, and they cut that out. So yeah, I mean, it still remains controversial to this day. Some of the names of the rooms that you visit have sort of got demonic names and also satanic names. And yes, this marked the return of Steve Jackson to the series, and it really does. It's really original. It's so atmospheric, this book. I mean, as a kid, God, I mean, I wasn't frightening as a kid, but it really sort of took you away from the world and dumped you in this really perilous situation. It was such a fantastic game. The artwork in it was just awesome. It was the artist Tim Sell, and there's one picture in there that I'll always remember. It's a zombie that's sort of got his hand out like that, and it's one of them, like I said earlier, one of them was where it's looking at you and it's got these piercing eyes. But yeah, House of Hell, really difficult book to complete, but yeah, this one is my favourite game book of all time, because maybe it's because it was my first one, but because the setting is so original and it was never revisited, which is a shame. Maybe they will. Maybe Steve Jackson, if you're watching this, House of Hell 2, revisit the House of Hell, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, that's number 1 of 10. If you like this video, then think about subscribing to the channel, or give me, I don't know, some cake or something. And yeah, comment below if you want to see some more of these, like maybe like 11 to 20 or something, or you want me to cover some of the other Fighting Fantasy stuff. I've got like the role-playing game, or the the sorcery epic, or some of the more obscure stuff. And yeah, leave a comment. Maybe we'll have some time to do that. But yeah, like, subscribe, comment, and see you next time.